What's going on, team? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. Hope that you guys are all having an amazing Thursday. CPI data report was released, and I'm going to start sharing my screen so you guys can see exactly what it is that was reported. CPI report came out. We actually live streamed it on the channel, so if you want to check it out, it's actually the live stream that I uploaded right before this. But it was released 1 hour before the market opened. We've been talking about this all week. We've been preparing for it. We stayed cash, and think about it. You know, I trade with over $500,000. It was an 18% day. Did you know that today, right? I wanted to look into the data. Did you know that today for the NASDAQ market, today, November 10th, 2022, is the biggest green day for the NASDAQ market for 2022? And I mean, if you actually look at it, if I'm not mistaken, it's a pretty significant difference. The biggest one in comparison was 4.06%. This one, 5.72%. This is why we see TQQQ up 18% on the day. I made $25,000. I'm very grateful for it. Yeah, I probably could have made a lot more. I sold my entire position. My big thing is progression. We're not really moving how we were during that, market open session when momentum was still aggressively in our favor. We've been kind of teeter-tottering right around that 260 area. We did just make new highs at 277. That's great. But again, I'm not here to nickel and dime an opportunity. It's too overbought for me. I wanted to lock in profits, and I just don't want to get caught bag holding a position if direction ends up changing, right? So I decided to lock in profits. I just hope that you have an exit plan so you keep some of those profits in your pocket, either with a trailing stop loss, a stop loss, or some form of reduction of your position size if you intend to sell soon, right? So let's go ahead and talk about the CPI data report. I want to make sure that you guys understand this. The CPI, for those that are unaware, is an inflation report that's released every single month. This report was reported in the month of November, but it's reporting in the month of October. As the month completes itself, then it's reported in the following month. So you can go to bls.gov/CPI. It's a free public website. And this report came in, and it's very easy to read if you ignore the entire mess. Overall inflation is at 7.7%. So what was the expectation? Because that's all it's based off of. Expectation was 8%. It came in lower than expected. Why is that a good thing? Well, that means inflation is coming down quicker than expected. We were previously at 8.2, and now we dropped to 7.7. So again, this is good. This means that the Federal Reserve will most likely be able to justify. It doesn't mean that they're going to, but the reason that the market is reacting this way is for the past 4 interest rate hikes, the Federal Reserve have raised the interest rates 0.75%. That's very aggressive. This can hopefully justify the Federal Reserve, or allow the Federal Reserve to justify a less aggressive interest rate hike, maybe a 0.5%. Would it be out of the question if they do a 0.75%? No, but this will allow them to be, again, to have ground to stand on, to be less aggressive. Core CPI is something that's very important that we need to make sure that we talk about. Core CPI came in at 6.3%. Let me actually go ahead and find it. Oh, here we go. Overall, core CPI is all items less food and energy. So all this means is everything excluding food and energy, when it comes down to this overall CPI data report, is included in core CPI. Why is food and energy not included in core CPI? Well, with core CPI, the Federal Reserve understands the different factors or the different line items that they can actually affect. And they know that they cannot affect the overall supply of food and energy, right? And if you look at the largest contributors, this is month after month after month after month. This is the month that was just added. This is for the month of October. It's very easy to actually read this. These are all the different line items, so you can read them from left to right, and you can see how it increased from September to October. So it's very easy to read this. So for the food, right, we have this food as a line item. It tells me, headphone users, it tells me that we saw an increase of 0.6% from the month of September to the month of October for food, right? We could see that we saw an increase. One of the biggest increases, or the biggest increase for October, was 19.8, and that was fuel oil. So that means that for fuel oil from September to October, we saw a 19.8% increase. That's not a surprise. We talked about that in yesterday's video. We talked about that last month when OPEC reduced their production levels by 2 million barrels every single day, and demand stays the same. What do you think happens when supply gets cut and demand stays the same? Prices go up. So that's not much of a surprise. That's actually why I thought CPI was going to come in hotter than expected. But one of the biggest losses that we saw was actually in the utility piped gas services. So we actually saw a decrease of negative 4.6% for utility gas pipe services. And again, all of these are the line items. You can go through it if you want to look into it in a little bit more detail. I would encourage you that, especially if you anticipate to invest in the stock market for quite some time, these reports are very important. But again, all you really need to focus on is, what's the overall CPI, 7.7%, what's the core CPI, 6.3%, and what was the things that saw the biggest increase and decrease. And it's very easy to read that. They make these very complicated to try to read, but again, that's my job here on YouTube, is to make things a little bit more simple. Why is the market reacting the way that it is? It's very simple. If you think and take into consideration what has happened in the past week, right? Midterm elections, a lot of volatility. With the FTX and the Binance fallout, right? A lot of volatility, a lot of selling pressure. There's a lot of fear. If anything, it was almost the perfect recipe for a crash. If this CPI data report came in hotter than expected, who knows how low we could have gone. There was so much anticipation for selling pressure. But what we did is, like we always do, is we're not here to predict, we're here to prepare. So we stayed cash when the market reacted. We jumped into when direction was in our favor, into TQQQ. And again, today's a perfect example. You do not have to be a perfect trader to make money. All you have to do is be prepared. It didn't matter if the market went up. It didn't matter if the market went down. We stayed cash, and all we wanted to wait for is for direction to be in our favor. Therefore, when we saw direction to be bullish, we jumped into it. But if the market were to be bearish, then I would just jump into SQQQ and then begin to short the market. I do not care which way the market ends up going at. The only reason I'm grateful that it's going this way is because I know that a market recovery is long overdue, and I know people just want the market to begin to recover. So I'm very happy for this. But one of the last things that I do want to share with you is, I cannot stress this enough. One day does not define a market recovery. This is one of the biggest days that we have experienced. Not one of, it is the biggest day. I showed you guys that. I showed you the data. For NASDAQ market, this is the biggest day for the NASDAQ in 2022. If you have no exit plan, if you felt horrible yesterday because of how down you were on your positions, but you feel on top of the world today and you're doing nothing to avoid how you felt yesterday, again, on my green days, I prepare for my red days, and on my red days, I prepare for my green days. It is so naive for you to think that one day will define a market recovery. Watch that position size. It doesn't mean that you need to sell your entire position. It just means watch that position size. You wouldn't freak out if you only owned one share and then the market sells off, but most likely you probably own a lot more than that. So if the market does begin to sell off, what are you going to do differently so you don't feel the same way that you did yesterday? That's all we ever want you to do, is to prepare for worst case scenario. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm trying to be realistic with you, right? Market's been bearish for all of 2022. Yes, we all hope that the market begins to recover, but it definitely does not have to anytime soon. This is a step in the right direction. This is progress, but this is not definite that the market is going to recover. So this is why you prepare for worst case scenario. Again, we've already gone through 11 months of this. What's going through, a little bit more time of preparing and watching that position size. Remember, don't do it for yourself. Don't do it for me. Don't do it for other people. Do it for your future self. That's all. So I really do appreciate you guys' time. Again, we live streamed this early on our YouTube channel. My job here is to try to make things a little bit more simple when it comes down to trading and investing in the stock market. Make sure that you guys subscribe. I hope that I earned your thumbs up in this video. If you have any questions, the only way that I can answer your questions is if you reach out to me. You don't have to comment down below. Just send me a direct message via Discord, and that's that first link in the description. I finished trading live with the Learn Plan Profit Group. I think during the live CPI data report, I was up about 18 to 20K, and then I ended $25,000 in the green, and that happened during the live trading session with my LPP team. So again, I trade live every single day. If you want to be able to watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow, the stock market will be open, even in observance to Veteran Day. All you have to do is click the second link down below, learn a little bit more about our LPP team, and see if it's a good fit for you. We are running our biggest sell. So again, if you want to join, it's an option for you. If you feel like you're not ready, then don't rush into it. If you have any questions, feel free to message me either via Discord or via Instagram, which is the third link in the description. I'm using the Webull trading platform, so if you want to use the same trading platform that I'm using, make sure that you click the fifth link in the description down below and you download it, but it's only available for those that live in the US. Appreciate your time. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.